We recently covered the worst town in every New Jersey county, and some of you took that personally. But hey, fair is fair. We dragged the bottom, so now we're doing the top, and I want to be clear about what we mean by the best here, to avoid any confusion. We're covering the best town to live in each county, not necessarily the richest, but rather places where the schools are good, the crime is low, the downtown isn't a ghost town, and the community exists year-round, not just between Memorial Day and Labor Day. This is part one, so relax, we'll get to your county eventually. If it's not in this video, it's coming in the next one. Let's get into it. Starting in Atlantic County, we've got Linwood. Linwood is what happens when people get tired of the shore, but aren't ready to admit they're tired of the shore. So they move 10 minutes inland to a town of about 7,000 people and pretend they still live at the beach because Margate and Ocean City are only 15 minutes away. And honestly, that's the smart play, because living in Margate year-round means spending 8 months of the year as the only human being in a ghost town. Living in Linwood means you get the beach when you want it and actual civilization the rest of the time. Mainland Regional High School is top-rated, crime is basically non-existent, and there's this old railroad line they converted into a bike path that runs straight through town. You'll see the same joggers, the same dog walkers, the same retired couples power walking in matching windbreakers every single morning. It's like a small town circulatory system. And here's something about Linwood that nobody tells you. It's basically the town where the locals hide from you. The people who own the restaurants in Margate, a lot of them live in Linwood. The doctors whose offices are in Summers Point, Linwood. And the guys who actually run Atlantic County, all quietly sitting in Linwood eating dinner at 6:30 like normal adults while you're stuck in traffic on the Longport Bridge trying to get off the island. Linwood isn't super flashy, but it's the answer to the question nobody wants to ask out loud. Where do you live near the shore without actually dealing with the shore? Right here. This is it. Congratulations. Next, Bergen County, and it's Ridgewood. Look, I know, people want me to say Alpine. That's the mega rich one. It's got the mansions, the celebrities, the gates, the driveways longer than your commute. It's where you go when you want nobody to know your business. But Alpine isn't a town. It's the collection of addresses. Nobody knows their neighbors. Nobody has ever organically bumped into another human being in Alpine without it being pre-scheduled by 2 assistants. Ridgewood is the opposite. It's got a downtown, and we're talking a legitimate one, not a CVS and a nail salon pretending to be a downtown. We're talking blocks of restaurants, shops, bars, boutiques, ice cream places, the whole thing. On a Saturday in Ridgewood, the sidewalks are actually full of people. The schools are top 10 in the state. The train goes directly to Penn Station in about 45 minutes. The homes are absolutely not cheap. $1 million and change gets you in the door, and that's for something that needs work. But compared to Alpine, Ridgewood is practically a starter home situation. And the community is real. You've got the 4th of July parade that shuts down the entire town. You've got plenty of youth sports organizations. You've got the farmers market where everybody runs into everybody. It's the kind of place where people show up for community events because that's what you do. Ridgewood is the Bergen County town where people actually want to be. Down south in Burlington County, we're going with Moorestown. Moorestown is one of those towns where you drive through it for the first time and immediately start doing the math in your head on whether you could afford to move there. And the answer is questionable, but you start doing the math anyway. This place is Quaker in origin, which means the entire personality of the town is built around the idea of don't be loud, don't be flashy, just do things the right way. And somehow that mentality survived 300 years of people moving in and out. The houses are beautiful without being obnoxious. The main street is walkable without being touristy. The schools are elite without the parents being completely unbearable. It's genuinely just a well-run town. Moorestown's Main Street is the kind of downtown that makes you wonder why every town in Jersey can't figure this out. Coffee shop, bookstore, independent restaurants, a theater that does actual plays, boutique shops where a candle costs $42 for some reason. You know, rich person downtown, but tasteful. You're 15 minutes or so to the Ben Franklin Bridge, which means you're close enough to Philly. The schools are consistently ranked in the top of the state. Crime is basically a rumor, and the community is exactly the kind of place where people bring you food when your grandma dies and nobody makes a big deal of it. The only problem with Moorestown is that everybody who lives there knows exactly how good they have it, and they will remind you casually, at parties, at school pickup, at Wegmans. We just really love it here. Yeah, I bet you do. I'd love it there too. That's the point. In Camden County, we're going with Haddonfield. Haddonfield is what would happen if someone took a postcard of small-town America from 1920, dropped it into South Jersey, and somehow nobody ruined it for 100 years. We covered Haddonfield in our Best Downtowns video. But to recap, Kings Highway is the main street, and it's the kind of main street where every storefront has been there long enough that the sign lettering is technically a historical artifact. Antique shops, farm-to-table restaurants where the waiter tells you the name of the farmer who raised the chicken. The Indian King Tavern where New Jersey was literally declared a state in 1777. The Patco train hits Haddonfield and gets you into Center City, Philly in 15 minutes. You can be in a meeting in Philadelphia faster than most people in North Jersey can park at the train station. The schools are elite, the crime is barely a statistic, and Haddonfield gets ranked on those safest and richest lists because somehow it manages to be both without being obnoxious about either one. These are the kind of people who send their kids to Ivy League schools and then don't put it on the back of their minivan. The only real downside of Haddonfield to some people is that it's a dry town. You cannot legally buy alcohol in Haddonfield. You want a beer with dinner, you're BYOB, or you're driving to Cherry Hill, which is either a deal breaker or a feature depending on whether you're a functional alcoholic. Haddonfield is the kind of town that makes you understand why people stay in one place their whole lives, because why would you leave? In Cape May County, it has to be Ocean City. Now, hear me out. If we were doing the richest towns, I'd say Avalon or Stone Harbor, and we'd all move on with our lives. But we're doing the best place to live, and there's a very important question you have to ask yourself about shore towns. That question is, can I actually live there in February? And in Avalon, the answer is no. Nobody lives in Avalon in February. Avalon in February is a horror movie. The restaurants are closed, the shops are closed, half the houses are dark. The wind comes off the ocean at 100 miles an hour, and you can go an entire day without seeing another human being. Ocean City is a real town. 11,000 people live there year-round. It has multiple school levels in the town itself, elementary, middle, and high school, actual grocery stores, actual doctors, actual churches, a community that does not evaporate the second Labor Day hits. The boardwalk was voted the best in America by USA Today readers, which is the kind of award that doesn't mean anything and also means everything. You know exactly what an Ocean City boardwalk day is. Manco and Manco pizza, Johnson's caramel popcorn, kids with Shriver's saltwater taffy stuck in their molars, dads losing $15 on skee ball with a dead serious look on their faces. Ocean City is another dry town, which might sound terrible until you realize that means no drunk idiots stumbling down your street at 1 a.m., no bars overflowing into your front yard, no frat boys throwing up on your sidewalk. It's a family town, and it's a family town on purpose. Homes run from $800,000 to about $1.5 million, which is still expensive, but it's not Avalon expensive. You can actually live here. You can send your kids to Ocean City High School. You can walk to the beach in July and walk to the beach in January, and both versions of that walk will be pleasant, just for completely different reasons. Avalon is for having. Ocean City is for living. In Cumberland County, we're going with Upper Deerfield Township. Cumberland is New Jersey's poorest county. That's not an insult, that's just the census. But amidst a bunch of struggling towns such as Bridgeton and Millville, Upper Deerfield comes in as a solid rural community to raise a family. This place is basically a bunch of little communities stitched together into one municipality. It's South Jersey farming country. Soybeans, peaches, tomatoes, the real Jersey stuff. The kind of place where kids still work on farms in the summer and nobody thinks that's weird. What makes this place even better is that most people can actually afford to live there. Homes sit in the $250 to $350 range in New Jersey in 2026. That's not a typo. You can buy an actual house with an actual yard for what people in Bergen County pay for a parking spot. The school district is solid by county standards. The crime is low, and you've got Seabrook in the township, which has a genuinely fascinating history. It was one of the most diverse farming communities in America after World War II, when Japanese American families coming out of internment camps were relocated there. That part of the country has a surprisingly interesting backstory that nobody ever talks about. Is Upper Deerfield going to be on any best places in America list? No, but you can own a house, have land, your kids have space to actually be kids, and you're not stressed about your mortgage every single month, and that might be the best thing you can ask for. Up north in Essex County, we're going with Milburn and Short Hills. Milburn and Short Hills are technically the same township, which is confusing to everybody who doesn't live there and extremely important to everybody who does. You live in Milburn. You don't live in Short Hills, unless you live in Short Hills, in which case you specify that you live in Short Hills, which is different. It's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. Time magazine at one point called Short Hills the richest town in America, which is hilarious because the people who live there would actively rather die than be described that way out loud. Short Hills wealth is quiet wealth, old wealth. My grandfather started the company, and I don't really talk about what I do wealth. But here's why it's not just rich, it's livable. The schools are among the top public schools in the state. A Short Hills public school education will probably get your kid into colleges that cost $80,000 a year if you wanted to pay for private. The Midtown Direct train gets you into Penn Station in 38 minutes, which means people who work in Manhattan can have a backyard, a driveway, and a normal-sized kitchen. That combination shouldn't exist in the tri-state area, but somehow Short Hills figured it out. You've got South Mountain Reservation literally in your backyard. Real woods, real hiking, a zoo, a waterfall. You've got the mall at Short Hills, which is the kind of mall where a security guard will politely watch you for the entire time you're in the Gucci store because they can tell you don't belong there. And you've got downtown Milburn, which has actual good restaurants and not just the Cheesecake Factory you get in most suburban downtowns. Is it expensive? It's obscene. But if we're talking best, Short Hills earns it because the money actually translates into quality of life, not just square footage. In Gloucester County, it's Harrison Township, specifically Mullica Hill. Mullica Hill, the historic downtown area, is where all the personality lives. Mullica Hill is one of those South Jersey downtowns that's been there since the 1700s, and they actually preserved it, which is shocking because usually in Jersey, we knock down anything older than a Chili's to make room for another CVS. You walk down Main Street in Mullica Hill and you're looking at actual colonial buildings, antique shops and old houses, farm-to-table restaurants and buildings that used to be taverns where guys probably got murdered. The Kingsway Regional Schools are top-rated for South Jersey. You're 20 minutes to Philly, 45 to the shore, and you're surrounded by actual working farms, apple orchards, pumpkin patches, the whole thing. Every October, the town basically turns into one giant fall festival, and people from all over South Jersey and Philly drive in to pick apples like it's a pilgrimage. Home values run about $500 to $700 which in New Jersey terms is practically a bargain. That's like half of what you'd pay for the same house in Bergen County, and you get land. Actual land, not a postage stamp with a swing set. Mullica Hill is the South Jersey answer to I want a nice downtown, a nice house, good schools, and I don't want to live next to another human being I can hear through the wall. It's the best downtown in Jersey that people from North Jersey have never heard of. And honestly, let's keep it that way. Don't ruin it. Up in Hudson County, we're choosing Hoboken. Weehawken might have the cliff, the views, and the luxury high-rises. Jersey City has more going on, more restaurants, and a better skyline. But Hoboken is the best place to actually live in Hudson County, and it's not really close. Hoboken is 1 square mile, home to 55,000 people. That's insane density. It's basically Manhattan, minus the garbage smell. And somehow, in that 1 square mile, they built a town that has an actual community. You've got a Little League. You've got street fairs. You've got a farmer's market. You've got the St. Patrick's Day parade that they had to cancel because it got too crazy. And then they brought back in a different form, because that's just what Hoboken does. The PATH train gets you into Manhattan in 8 minutes. 8 minutes. You can live in Hoboken and commute to the World Trade Center faster than most people in New York City can get to the World Trade Center. The walk score is basically perfect. You don't need a car. You barely need shoes. Everything is right there. The waterfront is gorgeous. Sinatra Park, Pier A, the whole Hudson River walk with Manhattan right across the water like it's posing for a photo. The schools are good for an urban area. The restaurants are stacked. The bars are stacked. The nightlife is there if you want it and completely avoidable if you don't. Hoboken has soul. Weehawken feels like luxury condos for people who work in finance. Jersey City feels like a city. Hoboken feels like a neighborhood where everybody recognizes everybody. The guy at your deli knows your order. The bartender at your local knows not to ask how your ex is doing. That kind of town shouldn't exist in 55,000 people on 1 square mile. But it does. That's why Hoboken wins. Finally, in Hunterdon County, it's Clinton. Tewksbury is the richest Hunterdon town, the kind of place where people pay $10 million for an equestrian estate. But Tewksbury doesn't have a downtown. If you want to see another human being in Tewksbury, you get in your car and you drive, and even then you might not find one. It's beautiful, but it's basically a golf course where people happen to live. Clinton is the best of both worlds. It's got that Hunterdon country wealth feel, rolling hills, horse farms, stone walls, covered bridges, but it also has a beautiful downtown with a red mill. The red mill is actually the thing everybody knows about Clinton, even if they don't know they know it. It's the most photographed spot in New Jersey. It's on every scenic New Jersey calendar. Every engagement photo shoot within a 20-mile radius ends up in front of the red mill at some point. It sits on the Raritan River right in the middle of town, and it's stunning, especially in the fall when the entire thing looks like somebody painted it. Downtown Clinton has actual restaurants, actual coffee shops, actual bookstores. You can walk, you can eat, you can bump into people. This is a rare and miraculous thing in Hunterdon County, a place where most towns seem to have a population density of roughly 1 person per mile. The schools are great. Crime is basically non-existent, and home prices run $500,000 to $800,000, which again, in North Jersey terms, is a deal, especially for what you get. Clinton is horse country with a downtown, and that combination in this state is rarer than you'd think. So that's part 1. Part 2 is coming, and we'll finish out the state. In the meantime, if you think we got it wrong, leave a comment.